Yes, that's probably my favorite part when you had a waterfall going down with the keys and everything, reminding you and alerting you and letting you know that you are listening to the workplace right here where we are live at KABF 88.3, where we are the voice of the people. Indeed, indeed, we are. Thank you so much for joining us. Tony is not here, and we are I'm rolling solo, but this is also a pre-recorded show. Let me say that again. This is a pre-recorded show. That means that we are not live in the space, which means the phone lines are not open in the space, which means do not pick up your phone and click those numbers because we are not there to answer the phone. This show is pre-recorded, and I will remind you of that all throughout so that you won't think that you can call in and voice your opinion. Not today, but you could absolutely do that on next week. Tony should be back. I don't really know his schedule, but I do know that he'll be back at some point today. At least that's my understanding. And then he'll be on the air Monday. He has a show with Neil called Down with Debt, but he's been promoting the show right before that. I want to say it's called Truth and Justice, but it must be happening from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. You know what? I don't even know why I started talking about that since I don't have all of the information and I'm not confident in it. But there's a show that he's promoting before that. But he and Neil are on the show, the air for Down with Debt on Mondays from 4 to 5. And then Community Voices happens on Tuesdays from 9 to 10. And then there is the workplace. It shows up on Thursdays from 9 to 10 as well. So those are the shows that you can hear Tony's voice loudly and clearly of voicing his opinions, giving some knowledge, distributing some information that all of us can use one way or another. So thank you for joining us, even though it is just me. I always feel privileged and honored when I realize that people know. They will know that it's just me and they will listen to the show anyway. I thank you for that. As always, I want to say and want to express my gratitude for those of you who support us here at KABF. This month, it is this month that we are celebrating 39 years of being on the air. We are only one of 12 local 100,000 watts, one of 12 100,000 watts community radio stations. Only one of 12. And this community radio station has taken our voice and we have elevated it and amplified it to the point that we are a global streaming platform. So people are watching us from all around the world and they are sending in their comments, their opinions, their challenges, their pushbacks, and their finances to let us know how much of a difference we are making in their lives. And to be able to do that for 39 years, we do not take that lightly. And we cannot hold our chests up. We cannot hold our chests out or lift our heads up and believe that it's something that we've done on our own. It's only because of you. And for that, we are truly, truly grateful. I do want to remind us that we are We are marking our calendars for September 16th for the Rights After Wrongs events from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Those of you who may have had some dealings with the system of criminal injustice, there are some things that need to be cleaned up on your record, on your criminal record. This is an opportunity for you to sit down and see what these people who have come to be of service to you in this moment, to see what they can do for you. There is always, I am convinced, there is always a way of escape. We've just got to figure it out. We've got to get the knowledge and the information, and there are people holding it in their hands. And these people are showing up on this day in this place to make sure that whatever knowledge they have, whatever help they can offer, that it is available to you. And my understanding is that it is free of charge. So mark your calendars now for September 16th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for the Rights After Wrongs event. And we will continue to make that announcement and give you more details as the event gets closer. I want to always make sure that we make the announcements that we know you can use. Having said that, I don't consider this an announcement, but for me, it is extremely important on days when I am not hosting Community Voices, that if the conversation lends itself to the EJI tidbit. On Tuesdays, I'm going to read the EJI tidbit regardless. But when I'm not hosting a show and I'm hosting someone else's show, or then it's important for me only to read the tidbit if it relates to the conversation. And on this day, August the 4th, oh no, it's actually August 3rd. But I want to read August 4th, which is Friday. It does work. It does fit in with our conversation. On this day, August 4th, on Friday, August 4th, in the year 1964, my brother was going on his way to turning 1. My brother would be 1 at the end of this month. My older brother would be 1 at the end of this month. The bodies of murdered civil rights workers Michael Schwerner, James Chaney, and Andrew Goodman are found in a Mississippi dam 2 months after their disappearance. Let me read that again. On August 4th, which is Friday, August 4th, the bodies of murdered civil rights workers Michael Schwerner, James Chaney, and Andrew Goodman are found in a Mississippi dam 2 months after their disappearance. I'm always reminding you that I was born and reared in Mississippi, and Mississippi was perhaps the most, if not a really close second, to the worst state in the dirty South as it relates to lynchings and the terror of Black bodies during the civil rights era. And when I think about the history of this country and its degradation of Black bodies, and Black being defined as the most expansive way to include every member of the African diaspora, when I think about that, and I think about that's where I live, it touches me in a different way. Like every bit of history that relates to the Black body penetrates my soul. But when it happened in Mississippi, the land on which I walked, where I took my first breath, where I said my first word, where I read my first book, where I entered my first school, where I graduated with my first degree, this is where it makes it even more real and relevant to me. And so when we think about people who are unwilling to share that history, unwilling to tell the truth about it, it's an attempt to erase my life. It is an attempt to erase my life's experience and the experiences of my family, my parents. When I said that about my first degree I was conferred in Jackson, Mississippi, but it was at a college. It was at a university that used to be a college that my parents attended. And that's where they met. So when you want to act like these things didn't happen, you want to erase my entire heritage. And I'm not going to stand by and let you do it. Mr. Henderson sent me a video about from Smokey Robinson, and one of the concerns that he has is about being called Black versus African American, and he wants to be called African American. And I don't have any problem with what Smokey Robinson wants to do, but what I'm not gonna do is allow someone else to make me feel like that should be the way I identify myself as well. I do not want to be called African American. I will correct a person if they call me that, and I do not check that box on any application or any official documentation because I am Black. And the reason that I want to make sure that I remind people that I am Black is because when you start talking about being African American, there are so many people who can identify in that way. There are so many lived experiences that can be described in that way. In fact, somebody broke it all the way down and said, everybody, if we believe that the beginning of this world, that the nexus of civilization started in Africa, that everybody is African American. But for me, it is important to call myself Black, because if you don't call me Black, then you don't have to reckon with the horrors of the system of enslavement, because I believe it's only the Black experience. And again, Black being defined as all members of the African diaspora, Black being defined in that way, it is only the Black experience that puts it front and center, that will not give you an out, that will not give you an opportunity to deny, that will not allow you to gloss over the fact that humans were enslaved on this soil intentionally in order to build it so that a few folks that consider themselves to be superior based on the color of their skin could gain the resources and the finances that they need to live the American dream. And so when we think about it and ask ourselves a question, why is there an anti-Black movement? Is because you want to erase that memory, which means the only way you can do that is to erase me. And that's why you fight so hard against me. And one of the ways that we fight against Black folks, one of the ways that we have fought and continue to fight and will keep fighting against Black folks is in the area of voting. And so I was talking the other day about the design that I have in my head. I have not fleshed it out. I have not decided to move forward with it, but it's just percolating. It's time for the percolator. Y'all remember that song? It's time for the percolator. It's percolating in my head around a Black love event that is titled "To Vote or Not to Vote." That is the question. And I've been toying with it on such a deep level since the last Black Love event, but because we had more than one generation of conversationalists sitting on the stage in front of us. And one of our elders, I want to say elders because he is older than I am, one of the elders, Bruce James, said that we need to make sure that we don't get so caught up in the micro that we don't pay attention to the macro. And one of the ways that we can pay attention to the bigger picture of what is happening to us as Black folks is to focus on the vote and to make sure that we are voting and we are giving ourselves over to the system of giving ourselves over to civic engagement so that we can participate and have our voices being heard. And then we had Sahaya from a younger generation asking the question, are you sure that is the best use of our time when we think about the history of electoral politics in our midst? And I so wanted them. As a matter of fact, that they might be the only two. You know, it looks like I might be doing this event. It's coming alive in me. I can feel it growing and bubbling. They might be the two that we have having this conversation about the vote, to vote or not to vote. That is the question. And for me, it's not a question of whether or not we should vote. I'm gonna vote. No doubt about it, because I've said before, if you don't, I feel like you are slapping our ancestors in the face, just knocking them slap out. Mama said knock you out. No, she didn't. I hate that phrase. But I think that we should always vote. I think the question does become, and I'm okay with entertaining this question, how effective is our strategy around the way we use our vote? Like, don't stop using it because it is our voice, but how do we move and how do we navigate and how do we gain tactical weapons to use that we can use through our vote, which is our voice, to make sure that we are demanding and receiving what is rightfully ours that has been stolen from us and continues to be withheld from us illegally. I can see that conversation being part of the equation as to the answer to the question, should we vote? But then I feel like I don't even have to come up with an event. When we think about the bodies of Michael Schwerner and James Chaney and Andrew Goodwin being found in this dam. These were three members of the Congress of Racial Equity who were serving as field workers who were registering people to vote in Mississippi, and they lost their lives because of it. The only person in that list of three names who is a Black person is James Chaney. And what's interesting about that is if you start Googling James Schwerner and Andrew Goodman and not James Schwerner, Michael Schwerner and Andrew Goodman and James Chaney, because all three of them died at the same time. All three of them died for the same reason. All three of them, their purpose and their mission for their assignment, all of that was thwarted at the same time. When you begin to look for them on Google, at least if you're using an Apple products, because I know sometimes Apple products and Android products function differently, because I use both of them and I've seen the difference because I've held them side by side to pay attention to it, to make sure that what I'm saying is a fact for me and not fiction. But if you begin to Google James Schwerner, it will automatically bring up the name Andrew Goodman and won't make mention of James Chaney until you actually click on the link, and then you see that James Chaney was also part of this. And so these are all of the subtle ways that the system of white inhumanity reminds us that it is anti-Black, because somebody used an algorithm to make sure that when you begin to search for this name, you're going to see the two people who are non-white. And those are the people whose name you're going to remember because they pop up automatically. And then it's like, oh yeah, there was somebody else. Who was that? Oh yeah, it was the Black man. So when we talk about voting and whether or not we need to, these bodies that are being lifted up on Friday, August 4th, are just blatant reminders that it is because of the power of our vote that white people get up in arms, that the system of whiteness loses its mind when it finds out or begins to believe that Black folks will have a say in what happens in the political arena. And even though we have not gained all that we should, even though reparations are still being withheld from us, the fact that we don't vote gives the people with power the opportunity to make the decisions to continue to withhold what is rightfully ours from us. By participating in the electoral process, we can say no, even though we're not getting all that we deserve, all that is ours, at least I know this person is not making decisions on my behalf. At least I have some say in who speaks for me, because not everybody can speak. I don't know if you're like this, but when people say they want to pray for me, I'm like, hold up. Let me just keep it real with you. Don't pray for me. I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know your theology. I don't even know your God. We haven't had that conversation. We're not close like that. We have not indulged in dialogue in a way that lets me know I can trust the prayers that you are praying over my head. I don't know you. Like, you can't speak. You can't speak for me in prayer. And if I won't let you pray for me, then I don't want you making decisions over my life. And people who have the power of in the political arena, they are making decisions that transform our lives. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I wanted to start talking about Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton, who is the senator, the United States senator from Arkansas, who has written a book called, what's the name of the book? Only the Strong. Wait. That's the title of the book, but you know, a lot of titles have a subtitle as well. So Only the Strong, and it says I wrote it down, reversing the left's plot to sabotage American power. Reversing the left's plot to sabotage American power. So this senator is recognizing that America has power that comes through the political arena. And if you give me this power, then I am going to use it to shape what America looks like. And if the power of shaping what America looks like rests in the hands of somebody who is anti-Black, then what does that mean about the lives of Black folks? And so if you are not getting what you want, all of what you want, at least you can have some say in who gets to talk for you, because that's what politicians do. They represent the people. And by not voting, then we say, I don't care who said, I don't care who it is. And so it's almost like we're throwing a tantrum. Well, since I ain't got what I want, I ain't gonna vote. That's one way that we could look at it. And that's the way I want to look at it right now. That yes, there is work to be done in the area of politics, but does that mean that we divest ourselves from the system just because it is not working in our favor the way that it should 100%? So Tom Cotton has written this book. I'm just so tickled by this whole thing. And I mean tickled like I can't, like I'm flabbergasted. He's written this book that you can buy. You can purchase online at Target. If you go to Target.com, or if you use the Target app, if you are a Circle member, of which I do all of those things, you can find this book on sale, 45% off for $16.59. The retail price is $30, but it's on sale for $16.59. Now, Target has been targeted by the Arkansas Senator, Tom Cotton, as a company that he wants to stand down. He is basically issuing a cease and desist command to Target, the company, to stop their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, because Target has dared to say that they are going to focus on increasing the number of Black folks, people of color, by 20% in their organization. And that they are going to spend $2 billion focusing on these efforts for this campaign to address the issue of equity that continues to be overlooked by so many people across the world, but we're talking particularly about Arkansas right now. So this man who is using this company to sell his book, which talks about the power that he wants to have and hold and harness as an American congressperson, he is targeting this country to tell you, how dare you make a way? How dare you create a path? How dare you allow Black people to find a way to walk through this system of inhumanity that will allow them just to have a job? We talking about at Target. We're not talking about a job everywhere. We're just talking about a job. He don't even want you to have a job at Target, because he deems that to be a lie, a historical lie, this idea that we need to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. This man, Tom Cotton, can only not only write the book, can only be serving as the congressperson for Arkansas because we voted him in. And when I say we, I'm just speaking for all the people. Somebody voted for. The only way that people get into office is we, the people, vote them there. Now, I didn't vote for him, would never vote for him, but I am a member of the citizenry. And at the end of the day, when we put somebody in there, that affects all of us. All of us are now affected by this. Even though I didn't vote for him, I can't say, well, since I didn't vote for him, it ain't got nothing to do with me. Yeah, it does. So whoever it was that decided to vote for him, you have now lumped us all together as we the people who have this man speaking for us on a federal level. That happened because of the vote. And so for those of us who chose not to vote, you all up in arms listening to me like, what? I can't believe, what? Now you're ready to fight. But I needed you to fight at the ballot box. Not much we can do on August the 3rd. Not much we can do about it. Now we can get ready to do something about it during the next voting cycle. But right now, I need you to harness that anger in another direction than to just be mad that he's in there now. Let's be mad about it now and figure out how to get him out later. Because the time will come for our voices to matter in that way. And so I'm just tickled by that. But I'm also tickled by, I probably should stop before I get started with that. I'm just going to pause the recording for just a minute because we have to send it in segments for our engineer, Mr. Russell, to make sure that you can hear this as this is going to be a seamless recording for you as you are listening today, because I've got to do some things mechanically to make that happen. So just give me 1 minute. Well, it's really just a second. Okay, so I am back right here, KBF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. You are listening to The Workplace. Your regular host, Pastor. How do I say it? Pastor Tony Orr is out of town. He is doing the work of being a labor union organizer for local Union 100, local 100 union. Okay, I'm gonna let him say it, but he'll be back. He's probably on his way. I don't know, but he'll be back next week for all of his shows. Stay tuned if you want to hear his voice and listen to his commentary. And so I am Denise. Did I say that? Reverend Doctor Denise Donnell. You can call me Denise, and I am hosting us on this day. And so not only is Senator Tom Cotton an elected official who is going on a public rampage to demand that Target cease and desist from its initiative to hire more people of color, more Black folks in their organization. He's also written a book to support it that he wants Target. That Target is selling. Like, I got a question for Target, but I'm going to ask them. I'm not going to ask you. But there's another politician who's up to some shenanigans. Well, who has been from the beginning. But when we think about former presidents and present presidential candidate, Donald Trump, he has been indicted on 4 counts. He's been indicted, 4 counts. 1 count is conspiracy to defraud the United States for trying to overturn the election results in 2020. There are 2 counts against him related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings that have to do with what happened on January the 6th, 2021, when white folks stormed the Capitol. And then there is the 4th count, which is 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights by attempting to reverse the election results in states where the race was close, where the race for president was close, but he lost. And so he wants to make sure that those votes are counted in a way that he comes out favorable, he comes out the winner, so that he could stay in office. So he refuses to leave the office, refuses to concede to our now President Joe Biden because he is upset that he did not win. He's throwing a temper tantrum because he lost. The only reason that this man is in the news is because of the historical fact that we will never be able to change, is that he was president, that he was voted into office. Talking about the power of the vote and talking about Black love. If you love yourself as a Black person, the question becomes, do you vote or not? Because one could argue that loving yourself means absolutely I'm going to vote, because this man that is on the campaign trail right now is a violator of civil rights. He has been indicted for being a violator of civil rights, and yet he is able to run for president. Now, I work with clients who are unable to put their name on leases because they have a criminal record. This man is actively being indicted and still able to run for president. And the money that's being raised for his campaign to become president again, the money is going to pay for his legal fees. And when he was indicted the other day, many people were waiting on him to be arrested. They were waiting on him to go to jail. They were waiting on them to take a picture and for him to have a mugshot, because they were looking for that, because that's usually what happens. When the indictment comes down, there's a warrant for your arrest that is issued. The people go get you from wherever you are. They have already been telling you. They've already been looking for you. Law enforcement says, we know exactly where to find you. They make a big deal about it. They will arrest you, especially if you're Black, in front of your children, at your house, at the church, wherever you are. And they will arrest, put those cuffs on you. You go to the jail, and then you take that picture. Prosecutors say, no. We don't have to do that with Donald Trump because we don't consider him a flight risk. So we're not going to arrest him. We're not going to have a mugshot. We're not going to do that. But they did come to get him. They had to go get him. And when they got to him and the cameras were there, ready, poised to take a picture of his reaction to being to receiving the news and having to be taken by the law enforcement agency agents, he held up his fist. He's been doing this for quite some time. Something happens and he holds up his fist. Now, for Black people, when we think about holding up the fist, the first thing that comes to mind is Black power. First thing that comes to mind for me is Black Panthers. First thing that comes to mind for me is resistance. I am letting you know that I stand firm on my Blackness. And I am going to live it. I am going to be proud of it. I am going to make sure that I'm unapologetic about being Black. And I'm going to raise my fist to the sky and let you know I'm Black and I'm proud. And I will say it loud to anybody, whether they want to listen or not. That is what the raising of the Black fist means to me. So to have Donald Trump raise his fist because he has been indicted on 4 counts. And to use it and say this is an act of defiance, whereas when Black people did it, we were, what do they call it? Oh, they call me militant. And now you got to be scared of me because I must be trying to kill somebody because I raised my fist. But now it's something cute Donald Trump can do. And not only did Donald Trump do it, but the guy Josh did it too. On January 6th, when he was, where is he? Missouri. Oh, let me get it right, because Phyllis Brown will correct me. Missouri Senator Josh, what's his last name? Crawley? I want to say Crawley. Y'all help me get it right. He raised his fist in solidarity with Donald Trump. So Donald Trump did not get the mugshot because he was not arrested. They did not take a picture of him because they do not consider him, prosecutors say they do not consider him to be a flight risk. He raises his fist, and now what they have done is made up a mugshot. They've created a mug. We can do all kinds of things with technology. They've created a mugshot, made him taller, And now they are putting it on, they're using it as a way to make money. Like it's on a t-shirt. So they're going to sell the t-shirts of this fake mugshot that they created when they realized that the prosecutors were not going to take the mugshot. So instead they have him holding up his fist rather than being arrested. He's holding up his fist, and then they're going to use that money to help further his campaign because he wants to be voted in as president. Y'all, do y'all hear me talking about voting and how we need to be a part of this process? Because if we don't disrupt it by our vote, this is how they use it, the power of the vote. And so Donald Trump raises up his fist, and I'm looking at these pictures of him raising up this fist, and I am disgusted. I want to spit, but then I didn't, because instead I took a moment to pause and to think about other parts of our history, not just the way that James Chaney's body was desecrated alongside Andrew Goodwin and Michael Schwerner because they dared to register people to vote. But I thought about the backlash that John Carlos and Tommy Smith received in 1968. This is 4 years after the 3 bodies were found in that dam in Mississippi. 4 years after James Chaney, Michael Schwerner, and Andrew Goodwin, 4 years after that. John Carlos and Tommy Smith at the Olympics, the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City, where they are dominating the 200-meter race. They dared to raise their fists, one with the black glove on the right hand, one with the black glove on the left hand. They raised them up during the playing of the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. They did not say one word. They simply stood there with their fists raised in the air, and white folks, the system of whiteness, the system of white inhumanity lost its mind. The president of the Olympic Committee wanted them suspended, because how dare they use this apolitical arena to make a political statement? That all they did was raise their fists as Black men who are gifted and graced, not just on the field of on the athletic field, but in the intellectual arena as well. And this man who was campaigning for them to be suspended, his name was Brent Musburger. He was an American, but he was also part of the Olympic team when there were Nazi salutes happening in the Olympic arena that he said nothing about. So when Black men simply raise their fists, then they need to be suspended. But when white folks issue the Nazi salute, then that is something that should be honored, because that is something that the nation said was okay. But since our nation has not said that it is okay for Black people to stand and be celebrated and to remind us of the plight of Black folks in America, now you need to stand down. And then there was a whole wave of people in America waiting to do nothing but ridicule, humiliate, and send death threats to their family because they dared to raise their fists as a sign of Black resistance. But this white man that the vote put into office has the audacity to raise his fist because he has been indicted on 4 counts, one of which is in violation of civil rights. And the system makes a mockery out of us because it's cute now. It cost John Carlos and Tommy Smith, it cost them a lot. But now it's cute because the white man gets to do it. So anti-Blackness is real, and anti-Blackness is rooted in the system of white inhumanity that dares to allow Black people to raise our voices. And the number one way that we can raise our voice is to vote. And so Tom Cotton and Donald Trump are using the political arena to make their voices known, to raise their voices and to make their positions known, their anti-Black positions known all the time in all spaces, in front of all people. It does not matter because they stand boldly on it. But when I was talking to Tony about what I could possibly talk about today, he got so excited because he began to talk to me about the new ways of organizing that are happening right before our eyes, the new ways of organizing that are unfolding right in front of us. Those people who work in the private sector, they now have the opportunity to change the old way of organizing and to usher in, and they've already begun to do it, to usher in a new way of recognizing the power of the voice by creating unions in their own way. They don't have to use the same framework as before. They don't have to be stuck to the traditional steps that have to be taken to organize a union. You can just declare in the private sector that you are going to do something about your wages. You are going to do something about your living conditions. You are going to do something about the way that people talk to you. You're going to do something about your environment. You're going to do something about diversity and equity and inclusion in the place where you work. You can do something about it, and all you need you don't need a whole bunch of red tape. You don't need no scissors to cut the red tape. All you need are people who are willing to raise their voice, people who are willing to vote. Because as part of this process in organizing this union in a new way, the people have to vote that, yes, this is what we're going to do. So we're back to talking about how powerful the vote is. Even in the area of organizing, you got to have the people, 51%. You need 51% of the people. So he broke it all the way down. Let's just say you got 10 people. 10 people, 5 people give you 50%. And so you need 6 people to say yes to it. And it is done just like that. And now you have the power to negotiate with your company to get what it is that you feel that you need, that you are being, that's not being offered to you or provided to you in the way that you need. Maybe it's not being offered or provided at all. And so then you can have your list of demands to say, this is what we want. But if it is being provided, maybe there are some tweaks that need to be made because it's not being provided in the way that suits you 100%, or even 90% or 95% or 98%. And so you want to talk about that. You now have the power of your voice because of the power of your votes in this arena to now say, this, give me my contract. I want a contract. Because I want you to put it in writing, because now that it is in writing, I have a recourse when you don't do it. Once it is in writing and we both sign off on it, you can't pretend that it didn't happen. That's the problem with America, especially, and with the world. You don't want to talk about racism. You don't want to talk about in the system of enslavement. You keep whitewashing and erasing as if that's going to actually affect positive change, and it's not. It's digging us deeper into a ditch and sending us backwards and reversing the gains that we had already made, because you cannot handle the truth. So you try to recreate it, reimagine it, rewrite it. But that's why I keep telling you I'm Black and I'm proud, because I'm not going to, every time you look at me, you can't do anything but say, wait a minute, why'd she get here? Through your evilness. And so Tony is talking. I wish, I'm sure that he's going to talk about it some more, because I don't think I've ever seen him as passionate, as excited as he was. He's like, you got, these people are raising up all across the country in these corporations. So target employees. Tom Cotton is coming for you. But you have the power to say, hold up, partner. This is not the public sector. I have the right. I have the ability to affect change all by myself. And so Tony used the number 10. And when we were talking, I was like, wait a minute. It got to be 10? Because I keep saying out loud, I don't think it takes a big number. We keep talking about unification. We keep talking about we need to unify. We keep talking about we need to come together. We talked about the other day, we talked about with Solar Beam, we need to aggregate. That means all the different parts come together to make a whole, and let's move forward. I think that's fine. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying I don't have to sit around and wait for all of y'all to get together. It could be two of us. Two of us can say we want to form this union in Target. In any private sector, Kroger. I can't name all of the organizations, but if you don't work for the city, if you're not public, you're private. Okay, so that's the easiest way to do it. Let's just drill it all the way down. If you're not public, you're private, and in the private sector, you can have 51%. Okay, so maybe we couldn't do 2 people because 2 people would be 50%. 3 people. You have 3 people, and for y'all holy folks, that ought to be a good number for you. God, the creator, Jesus, our redeemer, and the Holy Spirit, our sustainer, the 3 in 1. What do we call that? The Trinity. Get holy in there. 3 of us, get holy in there. And say, it is only righteous for us to raise our voices. It is sacred for us to come together in this place and decide that we are not going to stand here and let you come for us, especially a company that you're trying to use to push your hate. What kind of sense does that make? And so when we think about the workplace, we can use the vote, the power of the vote in the workplace. And we can use it through civic engagement in the political arena. We can use our vote everywhere in every aspect of our lives because our vote is simply our voice. It has power. All we have to do is raise it, exercise it, use it, recognize it, acknowledge it, understand that power, and know that that is our ticket out. It's our ticket to all of the things that we are not getting right now that we think the vote is keeping us from getting. It's our way of escape. So can we broaden the way we use the vote? Yes. Can we broaden our conversations around the vote? Yes. Can we broaden the way we use our vote? Yes. Let's talk about all of that, but let's not stop voting. James Chaney and Michael Schwerner and Andrew Goodman died so you can have the opportunity to vote. So those of you who don't believe in voting, no judgment, but I do have a question. What do you say to them? When you sit in your quiet space, when you sit like me, you sit in your office, and all of a sudden you hear this noise, and you know you by yourself. Nobody else is in the house but you, and you hear the door close. You say, what? I say, wait a minute. I say, who is that? I know y'all in here with me. I'm so glad I'm not by myself. These are my ancestors. Which one of y'all in here today? What y'all want to talk about? Why are you slamming doors in here? And I sit and I give myself over to the experience of being in companionship, being in the presence of my ancestors. If one of those ancestors is James Chaney, what do you say to him when your body recalls your feelings about not voting in the face of his death for you to vote? What do you say to him? I would love to hear what you say. What I want to hear from my ancestors, when I center myself in their presence, because I know they are with me, because I carry them and I hear them. What I want them to say, well done. Good and faithful servant. You on the road, girl. You on the journey. I see you. You remind me of me. Don't you love when old people say that? You remind me of me. I remember when I was like you. My mama says that to me. I remember when I did that too. You always up in something. You always talking in front of somebody. I remember those days. That's what I want to hear them say in conversation with me when we think about the same issues that plague them that they see plaguing me. The same issues that they face that we now continue to face. The same fight that they fought, we continue to fight. What do you say to them? Hit me up and let me know. Area code 228-236-7440. When your child becomes of age and realizes that they're voting for the first time and they begin to recall never having voted with you. Conversation I used to have with my dad and never saw my daddy vote. It was an uncomfortable conversation for him. Why you ain't voting? It wasn't a good conversation for me to have with my dad because my dad is violent. So I wasn't able to have a conversation like I wanted to have a conversation. But yeah, we got to answer to our people. To vote or not to vote? That is the question. But that vote will change things on your job, in your workplace. If you work in the private sector, that vote will transform your work life. If you exercise it, 3 people, that's all you need. If you want more information about that, you can call Tony. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if I gave you his number, only I don't think I know it. You can call him here. 501-433-0088. I think I know the number to the station, 501-372-6119. I think I'm not in the office. It's on the wall in the office. I'm not in the office, but I know 501-433-0088. You can reach Pastor Tony or let him talk to you about the way that you can change things on your job through the power of your vote, to institute your own union. You can do it all by yourself. You don't have to follow the steps that have been used traditionally. And if you think that it doesn't matter how people who are in politics feel about diversity, equity, and inclusion, ask LaTondra Newton of Disney, ask Brene Myers of Netflix, ask Karen Horn of Warner Brothers Discovery, ask Janelle English of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, ask Dr. Christina Cleveland, author of God is a Black Woman, ask Nicole Hannah Jones, the author of the 1619 Project. Ask these Black women whose lives were disrupted because they dared to occupy the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Ask them how the politicians came for them. And they had to do something differently with their jobs. Either they had to step down or they were forced out. Because people who we voted into office now affect their lives, their livelihood, their coins, like people say, in a very real way. This is the workplace, y'all. We got a lot of work to do. That's the song that Tony plays, the Isley Brothers. When we start out, we got work to do. Join us in the fight. Thank you so much for joining us for the workplace. You've been with your host, Reverend Doctor. Just call me Denise. Right here on KBF 88.3 FM, where we are the voice of the people. We'll see you soon. Bye now.